Good Shabbos. We read in the third Aliyah that Jacob is tricked by Lavan. Jacob is sometimes called a trickster. He tricked his brother Esau twice. He will trick Lavan in connection with leaving him. He gets tricked by his sons when two of them go behind his back and take revenge for the rape of Dinah. When all but one of them conspire to tell him Joseph is dead, he is tricked. Joseph plays tricks also to eventually get him to leave for Egypt at the end of his life, to get Jacob to leave for Egypt at the end of his life. In this Parsha, Vayetze, because of his tricks, Jacob is fleeing his brother Esau. He has to flee home, leave the land, and find his mother's family to stay with. Just as he is about to leave the land, he has a dream which he establishes or confirms, in which he establishes or confirms a vision for his life going forward. We read, Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. A ladder was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and the angels of God were going up and down on it. And the Lord was standing beside him and said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying I will give to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west, to the east, to the north, and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is present in this place, and I did not know it. Shaken, he said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the abode of God, and that is the gateway to heaven. We note that Jacob's dream affirms for him that he is coming back to this land someday. He understands this dream to be telling him how his life is going to play out. And in some ways, that guides him in precisely that direction. This passage leads me to think about the power of dreams and visions. We have visions and dreams, or nightmares, depending on our own lives and how they will we have dreams of our own lives and how they will play out. And those visions of our own lives and how they will play out often somehow impact our lives, and so they do play out. How we see ourselves in our life directions hugely contribute to the decisions we make at key moments, and therefore where we end up, even if we do not know we are being guided by those visions. It can help us if we are aware. It can help us to be mindful of what dreams and visions, desires and fears we have, so that we know what we are responding to. This is part of the power of prayer. This is part of the power of meditation. Meditation can help us navigate through the clutter of thoughts in our heads to get a clearer glimpse of the underlying vision we hold of ourselves and the world around us, so that we see the story we are walking through, see the vision that is already guiding us. Prayer can help us put into words the vision that is already on our heart, to give expression to the hopes, dreams, and fears that guide us even unconsciously. And set prayer, established prayer, using traditional preset words, can help plant visions into our hearts by giving expression to traditional and communally worked out values and visions, hopes and fears that we might want to have guide us. In this way, prayer is about giving expression to the dreams, hopes, and values we see that we want to be, or that we need to be, so that we can be moved to become the prayer that we speak. ultimately, voicing prayer is part of an attempt to become that prayer, so that in being that prayer, us being that prayer, in us being the prayer itself is effectively answered. In the prison where I visit, I have the opportunity to ask people a lot. Where do you see your life going? What is it you dream to be? No, dream bigger. What are your joys and hopes? How are you going to get there without getting into more trouble and ending up back here? And what are you going to spend your time here studying so that you can be ready to go when the time comes? You would be surprised how many people have a vision of their lives that they will remain in prison, that they grew up in juvenile detention, they have spent most of their adulthood in prison, they know how to be in prison and don't know how to be any place else. So they know on some level that they are coming back, and more often than not, they do. Vision can guide not only the lives of individuals, but also the lives of communities and nations. Hopes, dreams, and fears drive the conversations, lives, and actions of groups large and small, and a clash of visions can lead to conflict. When we have different visions of ourselves, of our past and our present and future, we come to understand the events going on around us differently. We interpret them in the context of different stories of the past and future. Jacob knows he's coming back to the land eventually, so he can find the patience and the confidence to work 7 years for each bride and another 7 years to grow his herds and flocks. Lavan has a vision also of keeping his son-in-law managing his flocks indefinitely, or for at least as long as he can. In modern society, we have different visions of the past and the future, moving different groups in different directions. In Israel, there are different active visions of what Israel should be, and we see the consequences playing out. Different Jews and Jewish groups have different visions. Different Arabs and Arab groups have different visions. And until these visions are openly and honestly discussed, and everyone agrees to allow for the hopes, dreams, and fears of the other, conflict will continue. Much of the world has never held a democratic vision of the social order, whether because they are medieval religious in their orientation, such as Iranian clericalism, the Islamic Brotherhood, or the Taliban, or they're secular totalitarian, such as Russia and China. In America and the West, we see different visions playing out on the right and the left, center, and the far right. We are divided by our disparate visions. Left and right talk right past each other, and some people's visions include coercion. And there is much manipulation of media, new media and old media, to deepen the gulf between these visions and to fashion and popularize extremist visions based on narratives that do not connect to real events. So we have purposely manufactured false visions. We need to find ways to see better in order to be together better. This is what interfaith and multicultural dialogue has always been about, but that is a process that takes time. Somehow we need to get that process on steroids. In Pirkei Avot, we read, all the world is established on three things: on truth, on justice, and on shalom. Having an established and shared basis of truth helps us to see what justice for all can look like. Sharing a sense that everyone has experienced justice allows us to establish shalom. And when we are all living with a sense of shalom in the deepest sense, internally and externally, we can know that together we are doing something right. Shabbat Shalom.